investors and dear friends of Dharma. I'm very much inspired to see that this organization is servants of the Buddha. It has been successfully conducted this series of Dhamma talks and also Dhamma discussions for more than 100 years. That is something great. It is amazing that you could continue to do this because there are many problems. We had times of curfew, again various riots, pandemic, and many problems. So it is wonderful. Probably all of you, the members and supporters of this organization, they might have done similar things in previous lives. So that normally that conditioning, it is very helpful to do this kind of service to the society. So I wish you all the best to serve this society and the Buddha Sasana for many long years to come. So dear friends, today, so about I would like to define key terms necessary. So the topic is right view as the foundation for spiritual development. So right view is a very common recurrent topic in what the Buddha taught. Right view is twofold. There is a mundane right view and there is a supramundane right view. So here I focus my attention on mundane right view today. Because, in a way, what we are going to do is, in a way, it is like building a mansion, a big building. So, any big building or mansion, it is set on a foundation. So this foundation is often unseen, it is hidden. Yet everything you are going to build above the ground, its durability, it is strength that will depend on the foundation, the basic structure. So unless you create a good foundation as individuals, as a society, we cannot make a good, development in the spiritual path. So this point is very important. And also, I would like to point out one important thing. Now, I agree with Professor Sumanapal Galmangude, who says that in the age of early Buddhism, in the first few decades of the time of the Buddha, Buddha disseminated certain important philosophical background and basic themes, the basic theory he taught. And what then in the later stage, commentators, those erudite monks, they used that basic principles taught by the Buddha and adapted, and they came with the way to apply that theories, doctrine we learn to promote healing, to promote our spiritual development. So the thing is, maybe you, all of you might be aware that this Buddha's teaching and meditation instruction, they are, to some extent, they are person specific, because each and every individuals has their own temperaments and personality types, right? not only that, we also should know that to some extent, this Buddha's instructions, they are specific. They are age specific. That is now, and we was, great monks like Venerable Sariputta, Moggallana, Bahya Daracharya, they had very matured faculties, and with short instructions, they could make the breakthrough. They could succeed. But Buddha himself pointed out in the later stages, uh, Buddha had to strive more. He had to labor further, and everything should be taught in detail. Some other works, exercises were necessary. At the very beginning, many monks were parami rich people, parami rich practitioners. That is why I mentioned the path is to a certain extent, it is age specific. So in today's world, um, to use this what Buddha taught to our development, to our spiritual success, based on what is documented in the sutras and what is found in the age of commentaries, we, to a certain extent, some adaptation is necessary. Now, as an example, uh, most of the time when I guide a meditation session, I instruct my participants to relax your face muscle, body muscle. This teaching is not exactly found as it is either in the sutras or the commentaries, but it makes sense because in today's world, many people are tense. They are, relaxation is somewhat far from us. Physical relaxation, mental relaxation. Now, as an example, some times ago, I observed a person start to suffer some pain of his left hand. There was pain and also movement was restricted. So he went to his family doctor and he was referred to a physiotherapist. So physiotherapist observed his left hand and told him to relax his arm. So the client or the patient, he relaxed. He did whatever he could do to relax the arm, but the therapist told him, my friend, it is not relaxed. Then the patient again he tried further and said, now it is relaxed. But the therapist told, no, it is not relaxed yet. And the therapist illustrated that if if the hand is relaxed, it should hang just like a rope is hanging from a tree branch or a cross line. It will hang freely, and when a rope is hanging freely from somewhere, it can even dance with the wind's movement, right? It is so relaxed. It is so free. So this hand, if we relax perfectly, it should also follow the pattern of that hanging rope. So then this client he understood, okay, my hand should be relaxed further. Why we behave in this way, why our body behave in this way, because in this kind of a society, we live amidst many threats, many dangers. It is some certain things are apparent, certain things are not so apparent. Certain things are hidden in our consciousness, right? When we, some people might attack us. Sometimes the car might run and might hit against us. Somebody might bump against a suicide bomber might launch an attack. So all these things they are there in our subconscious mind. And because of that, we condition ourselves so that we are ever ready to attack, either to run away or attack, or do something. We are, conditioned to jump into action, right? So, to a certain extent, we need this, but this tensing, this stress, when it becomes chronic, it is very unhealthy. In the long run, it is very, detrimental. Again, another reason is some people, when they stiffen, when they sort of make their bodies hard and stiff, some people think that it is good for their personality. They might think, if I want this to stay strong, to be a strong man, to appear as a strong woman, I should stiffen my shoulders, my body. So we can see such people. So finally, the result is we create unnecessary stress on our physical body, and it affects the psychological domain of our mind also. So this is actually just unnecessary. So that many people do not know how to properly relax, unfortunately. So now here I address this audiences. I suppose you are city dwellers. Mostly city dwellers has this problem when compared to village dwellers for obvious reasons. So when I address this kind of audience, it makes sense if I tell them it is okay to relax. You can relax, right? Because we tense our muscles unnecessarily. That's a maladaptive behavior. So, dear friends, in this way, this tensing of the muscles and this problem, it verily includes in the big topic called dukkha, right? This is part of dukkha. What I explained is part of dukkha. But Buddha did not have to stress this in the basic discourses, because at that time this kind of psychological problems were not there. People were ready. The exercises like yoga exercises and certain meditation, certain forms of meditation were widespread in that society. They were ready. They were more or less relaxed, more relaxed than today's people. So catering for the today's need, we have to adapt certain, basic discourses. We have to shift what is necessary to the audience. That is why I tell you these instructions are to some extent age specific. What we really need to this age, this kind of audience at this point of time, we have to think and sometimes adapt to the situation. So, going back to our topic, right view is something important. It is twofold. There is mundane right view and supramundane right view. Mundane right view is the foundation. It is very important because it provides the basic, structural strength to our development. So it is Samadhi in Pali. Then Supramundane right view is the knowledge you have about Four Noble Truths. So in today's sermon, for the reason of time, I select this mundane right view, and there are 10 factors, but again, for the reason of time, I focus only 4 or 5 factors. Again, we should be aware that Buddha imparted this knowledge about mundane right view in some historical background. Little bit knowledge uh, is worth. So, uh, in ancient India, it was like a storehouse for many religious ideologies. So people, many such other religions, they have at least some elements of right view. That is why we call them religions. Some understanding of karma, some understanding of afterlife, at least some idea of these things they had. So when religious groups promoted those ideas, naturally, it creates some rivals also. Now, in today's society, we can observe when we try to develop our spiritual faculties, when we try to reflect and learn what really matters, some other groups start to condemn them, nullify them. That is the way it is. So, some groups of that society, especially materialists, they try to condemn these religious views. Factors like this generosity makes sense. There is something called karma, this karmic norm, and understanding a discussion of this life, afterlife, about devas, about great sages like Buddha, they condemn. And in this historical background, after the emergence of the Buddha, he is stressed clearly with many, stories, parables, and various psychological teachings, profound teachings in many ways, taking many approaches. Buddha elucidated the value of these mundane right view and all factors. So the first of the mundane right view, it is in Pali, attidinna. It means this generosity makes sense. There is what is given. So this is a big topic in Buddhism. In various in teaching us various groups, various rubrics, Buddha often put this factor on top of the list. Let's say threefold meritorious deeds. Dana, generosity comes first. And four ways of hospitality. Dana is mentioned at first. Then in 10 paramis, 10 perfections, Dana is listed first. Again, we have a topic called 10 ethics of a universal monarch, a world king. Again, Dana comes first. So, this factor is very important. And actually, when it comes to the significance of this dana or generosity, many things can be taught, many things we can discuss. But in today's sermon, I would like to pay attention to how these factors support our mental development, our bhavana practice. So, what is bhavana? Everything is very clearly defined in Buddhism. So this bhavana has some clear definition. One cannot just uh, push whatever he or she likes to this dhamma. Everything is very clearly taught, and we are very lucky that things were preserved for more than 25 centuries. Bhavana means to develop, to enhance, to cultivate. So what are we going to cultivate? There is our mind and also mental components. Mental components like wisdom, faith, energy, we can develop. And also concentration. There's a Chetasika mental component called Ekagata. It is similar to one-pointedness. And also wisdom. Those faculties we are going to develop. So, how this generosity is linked with our meditation practice. So, actually, bhavana is a very broad concept. Now, in the West, in the secular form of teaching and practicing Buddhism, it is shrink just to, being aware of the present moment, that kind of. So it is a very kind of, they have taken out taken this mindfulness concept or bhavana concept out of historical context. So one can say something is better than nothing and it is good that they are practicing. Of course, in a way it is good, but we should not emulate them. I mean, not always. Certain things are there from the West, from the US, we can learn. It is helpful. And in certain areas, we should not follow it because we have something richer, broader, and because of the, even two societies, they are somewhat different. This is in the West, we have some individualistic society, and here it is a collective society, and where people function in these two societies are different. So, how this generosity helps our bhavana practice or mental development? In generosity, Buddha pointed out some mindset we have to maintain in sharing what we have, right? So what are those factors? When sharing something, we have to do it with much respect and love. And also we should share it in a timely way. We should do it with compassion. And we have to share without any strings attached to that. I mean, wholeheartedly, we have to give something, reflecting on the benefit, how the recipient is benefited. So, when we share what we have in this manner, we naturally reflect on the goodness of the recipient. In sharing, we train our heart and mind to see the goodness, the potential virtue of somebody. When we see the virtue or goodness of somebody, it is easy to share. And the more we share, more we practice this gentle sharing, we would be better and better in focusing, in finding and remembering goodness of a person. This is not always easy. Not always easy. Many people, they are sort of hardwired to locate or find and focus on the negative traits of other people. It is psychologically very, troublesome behavior, right? So there should be some exercises for us to do so that we would be good in seeing the goodness. And how it is going to help our meditation, we need this ability in many forms of meditation. Let's say in Buddhanusati, we are asked to reflect on the goodness of the Buddha. Right? Some people cannot see goodness of the Buddha because they are probably upbringing and what they were doing, what they observed as children. Maybe those things have clouded their vision or distorted their visions, right? Everything happens for some reason. So when we are good in seeing the goodness of the Buddha, it is easy to practice. Let's say, as an example, Buddhanusati, recollection of the virtues of the Buddha. Then again, Sanghanusati is a form of meditation. And in Sanghanusati, we see the goodness of monks, the disciples of the Buddha. We need that is skill. And again, there is a form of meditation called Silanusati. In Silanusati, we repeatedly reflect on the moral goodness of ourselves, our morality, how we maintain our good moral values. We can start with something small, right? We don't need to be perfect to start this. Nobody started perfect. in this path. So this is also not always easy, right? To see your goodness. Now let's say as an example, we hear about sometimes we hear about students. They try hard to obtain 10 A grades to their ECE examination, O-level examination. And sometimes they obtain 9 A's and 1 B. So sometimes because of this attachment to that perfection, we hear about students becoming suicidal at this juncture of their life. It is so sad, right? One should congratulate oneself to achieving that kind of high achievement. But sometimes people are so hard on themselves, they beat themselves up. So this is a widespread problem. Because of these such incidents, we can observe that it is not always easy to observe the goodness of oneself. So when we practice generosity, our hearts and minds, they become gentler and softer, so that we will be good in seeing the potential virtues we remember, and we would be grateful for others as well as ourselves. So when we think about a meditation called Silanusati, also it is supported by our exercise we were doing, this generosity, this practice, it is very significant. Again, dear friends, there is a meditation, a form of meditation called Chaganusati. Chaganusati requires us to, again, gladden your mind. Be happy looking at your own generosity. Right? You can look at your own generosity you practiced in the past, and you can inspire your mind. You can gladden your mind. This is one form of meditation. It is very spiritually uplifting. So that also a way of looking your own goodness. I can remember when I was in Canada, one person, he was a very passionate giver. He was always asking, Bhante, what do you need? Now, in this kind of culture, we have many monks, and temples have many monks residing in one temple. In Canada, sometimes it is 1, 2, or 3, right? So here in Sri Lanka, if we have a surplus of gifts and various items, we can share. We share. Sometimes we take them to the monks of rural areas and we share them. But Canada, it is not doable. So that I told this particular giver, whenever I can, I ask something so that he would be happy, and I also was helped in some way. But now, because of the situation, I told this giver, okay, my friend, now you have practiced generosity for a long time in donating various things to monks. Now, write down all these incidents of your donations and make it a habit to gladden your mind, to be happy reflecting on that. In other way, I explain him to practice Chaganusati, to be happy of the generosity you practiced in the past. So he then told, oh, I don't like it, it promotes ego. So, so if something is not doable, Buddha would have never taught this Chaganusati as a form of meditation. When we cultivate our mind, we should develop skills so that we would be able to reflect on our generosity, our goodness, without inflating our ego. It is a skill we have developed, right? Your past generosity, your goodness can be reflected in two ways. Of course, in one way, when you are not so mindful, when you are not so spiritually skillful, you can reflect on them, think of them, promoting your ego, defiling your mind, inflating your itis and minus. And you might conflict with other people, you will compare with other people, and of course, it spirals downwards. So this is not the only option. There is another option. When you become mindful, when you cultivate various other qualities like compassion and universal love, you can reflect on them without defiling your mind, without making your mind constricted and toxic, so that it is very inspiring and it spirals upwards, not downwards. So, in this way, it would be very helpful even to practice Chadanusati, reflection of your own generosity. It's a form of meditation, and in order to do that also, we need this practice of seeing the goodness of somebody, right? It can be somebody else, it can be yourself. Again, there is a meditation called Devatanusati. In Devatanusati, you reflect, following certain conduct and certain lifestyle, certain beings reach heavenly abode, heavenly realm. And I also possess such great qualities, this virtue, this generosity, faith, seal, morality, and also all other qualities. So I also have those great qualities. Again, this can be, if you are not so mindful, if you do not know the art of maintaining balance, you might end up promoting your ego, but that is not the only option. We can train our heart and mind so that we can think these things without disparaging others, without mental defilement, without uh, making unnecessary, unwholesome associations, without promoting our ego, minus and minus. We can train our mind to think of these things. So for the meditation called Devatanusati also, we need to see, we need to accept, I am good. There is some goodness. I have potential to be better. These things we have to accept. Unfortunately, sometimes the people whom we live with also promote bad views, like you can never become a good person. You are so bad. Unfortunately, sometimes some people promote that kind of, some people induce that kind of ideas also. So we should be mindful not to absorb those things. If we make a mistake, following the cause-effect relationship, we have to understand and accept. But that is the only thing we can have to do with that kind of negative feedback. So, dear friends, in this way, generosity really helps in our spiritual journey. Then, let's take we can consider in Pali, Atti Sukata Dukkatanam Kammanam Palang Vipaku. There is this norm of karma. It is important for our spiritual journey. It was presented by the Buddha as one aspect of mundane right view. So, actually, these factors are interconnected to some extent. They are interconnected. So, to a certain extent, many other religions also share this view. There is karma. In a way, it is like, when we do wholesome deeds, it is like planting some seed. After our work, the seed disappears, but absorbing many nutrients, the sapling grows. And in due season, this sapling will become a tree and it inherits some power to reproduce the similar seeds of its generation. So, in that way, Buddha pointed out good deeds beget good results and bad deeds beget bad negative consequences. So, in doing these things, our intention is the principle, because certain things, it is not always easy to define whether a deed is good or bad by looking on a surface level. Certain things we might sometimes we can say very sweet words and hurt others. So, depending upon our intention, it becomes our karma. So, the principal element to decide whether something is good or bad depends upon whether the intention behind the action is good or bad. So this is important in our journey. Once and now, even with generosity, when we consider it, once Buddha said this virtue or punya, merits, it is another term for happiness. Sukhasetam bhikkave punyasa adivacana, Buddha said. So this punya means another term for happiness. So happiness is twofold. There is material kind of happiness, some worldly happiness is there, and also there is a spiritual happiness. So what we are going to derive from spiritual deeds like sharing, right, taking care of our mother and father, these things we have a spiritual sort of happiness. So the second and very important aspect of mundane right view is these pujas, grand offerings, they make sense. First on Ati Dinna, then Ati Hutan, Ati Ittan, so on and so forth, Buddha taught in the Mahachattarya Sutra. So, pujas make sense. Why do I say so? Now, the samsaric suffering is enormous. Buddha pointed out in many sutras. Actually, we have to agree with the Buddha who taught this everything is burning in this samsara. Not only in the human realm or animal realm, even regarding heavens, more or less, this burning nature is widespread in this condition, realm of the universe or samsara. So many sages, thinkers, they tried to find a way out of this. And unfortunately, many thinkers and seers, they deviated from the path. They end up in various confused ideologies. Why that happened? That happened because many such philosophers and thinkers, they were laboring under one illusion. That illusion is they were under the impression that there is a lasting, permanent soul. And when they work on that assumption, everything comes up in their mind that will be wrong. This is a problem. That is why there are many conflicting views, and some certain things are far off the real path, and certain ideologies they are coming somewhat close to real samadhi, to real right view. So, in showing the true path to the end of suffering of many beings, Buddha has done an enormous service. It is indescribable in words, right? So, such enormous, outstanding, life transforming work, it needs some special recognition and special tribute, because the service is so great. The way we show gratitude, respect also should be such a great thing. So we can show respect to the Buddha in many ways. But here, according to this topic, one great way we show him respect is by doing great pujas. So these pujas really help to perceive the goodness of the Buddha in a grand manner. So that when describing this topic of right view, legendary great monks like Venerable Eripane Chandamula Nayaka Hambu, Venerable Balangoda Ananda Maitriya Nayaka Hambu, etc., etc., they did not forget to mention the value of pujas. So here again there are practical problems. Some people cannot see the goodness of others, and especially when it comes to great, very unique virtues like the Buddha, some people struggle. They cannot think of such a great person. And paying homage in that kind of high, devoted manner, they cannot think, they cannot appreciate. Then they nullify, they condemn those acts. It is not the right thing. In performing pujas, many people get together, right? Sometimes to perform certain pujas, 100 people or sometimes thousands of people, they get together. And when they get together and reflect on the virtues of the Buddha, all their mental energy, they team up, and it makes a kind of very strong feeling, and all of us can score, so to speak. We can score very high in this spiritual uh, game, so to speak. We feel that upliftment. I have felt that, I have experienced that. So I would like to share one of my experience, right? I grew up as a layperson, listening and appreciating what materialist thought in this country. There are some materialists, and actually there are certain political organizations, parties also promoting that view. So I grew up thinking such people as my heroes as a teenager. So I did not see any value in what I'm talking today, the aspects of mundane right view. Then, for some reason, when I came to about, when I was about 22 years of my age, at about 22, I, just because of curiosity, and also I want to find something more meaningful than the life I was living. I tried to, I followed Vipassana meditation. I learned and I started practicing. And that was a game changer in my life. My faith grew exponentially. And I observe that my teachers also, they were paying homage with much devotion, much respect. And I also followed. I also paid respect, homage to the Buddha. I participated in grand pujas. So I understand with my first-hand experience how constricting, how limiting that materialist view was. Because I went through that. Those following the ideas of those materialists, it brought the worst version of myself. It was very limiting, very toxic. It was not healthy. The mindset, the sentiment of myself, of others, what was happening inside, it was not good. Right? Then when I started to follow this path, not only Vipassana meditation, doing pujas, helping others to do such things, paying homage to Buddha, I understood how nourishing, how uplifting, how life transforming such practices are. So, with my first hand experience, I highlight the value of these factors of mundane right view. So, such great pujas, they make sense. Uh, so, here this elicits another question. Now, some people say that Buddha is already passed away. How come we accrue some merit by paying homage to him? The thing is, of course, Buddha passed away, but uh, still we can reflect on his great qualities even now. We are not too late for that. It depends upon our faith and our wisdom. We can choose to reflect on his goodness. And to the same extent, we can inspire our mind and unwholesome qualities are expelled from our mind, at least for that particular period of paying homage or the recollection of the Buddha's virtues. And we can inspire our mind and we feel for ourselves, we can see for ourselves how it purifies our mind, it promotes our concentration, and we it is a very pleasant way of life. Such mode of operating of our mind, such manner of looking at the world, it is very soothing, it is very healing, and you can see for yourself when you practice that. So, because of this, these pujas, they really make sense. It is helpful. So when you know, so that actually in certain discourses, in some part of the Buddhist literature, we see that, let's say, they describe us how, let's say, Venerable Sariputta, many hundreds of years ago, he had conducted a great puja and to the Buddha and the disciples of the Buddha. And that puja also helped him to attain final liberation and become the chief disciple of the Buddha. Right? So there are some other reasons also. As a norm, we have to understand that things are multifactorial. Nothing happens in the universe due to a single cause. So puja itself will not provide you liberation, but our spiritual sort of deeds can be supported with such pujas also. It would be a great benefit, a great help. Again, let's take some other important factor. We are taught in this under this topic Mother is a special person that deserves your respect and love. Father is a special person who deserves your love and respect. Right? The Pali term is Atti Mata, Atti Pita. So this is a big thing in Buddhism. Some research done in the West, it shows that, let's say, if a mother does not kindly accept the baby after conception, right? If she does not accept kindly, if he rejects the baby's existence, growth in a womb, the baby will not receive enough nutriments. It is proven by some research. Actually, our ancestors knew this. That is why in Buddhist culture, we have a special ritual and kind of a ritual in our, in the past, our mothers were encouraged to do many meritorious deeds when they become pregnant. And the custom was they were taken to the temple and they were encouraged to perform meritorious deeds. And monks used to bless upon them with with various chantings and protection. So many relatives also visit the would-be mother or the pregnant lady with whatever favorite food she liked. We have that kind of culture. So this is very significant because it really matters, right? So when a mother is pregnant, or in other way, when we were in our mother's womb, every time our mother thought of us kindly, oh, my dear baby, I need you, I love you. When she emanated this kind of gentle thoughts in her heart and mind, right, every time she was allowing her her body, her blood to support this newcomer also, right? We cannot uh, we cannot take the nutriment we received for to granted. We cannot say that, oh, I am born, now I deserve, I have a right to be nourished from your body. It is not the way it works. The mother should compassionately think on the baby and accept the baby, and mentally she has to be compassionate. And it really matters in baby's uh, growth. And also, in Buddhism, Buddha taught that food are fourfold, right? One thing is kabalinkarahar, that is the coarse food, and another way of nourishment for food is it is psychological, it is vijnana. So every time when a mother thinks kindly, lovingly of her baby, right, it provides some psychological food. It provides some emotional food. And we really needed that food to become a true human, right? Now in this society, we can often see sometimes when we deal with various people, some people are very pleasant to be with, very, soothing, very healthy, very pleasant. And some people are just the opposite. So sometimes I try to verify the cause. This is one reason. Probably those people who are not maintaining good interpersonal relationships and a good mindset, maybe they might have lost the support of their mother and father when they were even before the birth, even the fetal, what they call prenatal stage, right? So such things really matter in our life. then, you know, mothers, they support us, they sacrifice a lot in protecting us, many physical discomforts, even in the pregnancy, many emotional discomforts she had to bear. And at the point of birth, you know, which is a risky thing, we should be very grateful for all the discomforts she had to bear. And after the birth, we were protected like gems, right? Without, you know, protecting from heat, from the cold, without letting even a mosquito or a bug to land on our tender bodies, we were protected. So unfortunately, when we receive something from the beginning without much effort, right? If we did not pay for something, many people do not recognize the value. This is a big problem. So that we often hear children neglecting their mothers and fathers. You know, once a father, he was in his middle age, he told me many years ago when I was in Sri Lanka, he told me actually he was disturbed because his daughter was mean to him. With that heartache, he told me, Bhante, when my daughter was small, she was when she was a small child, we were going some journey, and at that time we did not have any vehicles. We were using public transport, and we were waiting in some bus station. And my little daughter, she could not breathe because some mucus congested her nostrils. And then I kept my mouth on a little nose, and I sucked that mucus out of the nostrils, and I made things easy for her, so that breathing was easier for the little one. So I have done so much of sacrifices in my life. So we often hear such cases where we have to understand that our mother's love, our father's love, it is something very big in our life, and we should be very grateful for that. So here, one very important teaching of the Buddha goes like this: Katanyo katavedi kukkalo dullabo lokasmi. This means those people who remember the kindness of others and those who return or reciprocate that kindness are very rare in this world. Right? They are rare. So, gratitude is something very important. We cannot talk about gratitude without mentioning our mothers and fathers. Their service to their children is indescribable. It is something amazing in this world. Motherly love, fatherly love. So, it really matters if we take care of our mothers and fathers. So this discussion, these ideas, we have to teach to our future generation also. Because, okay, this is how I think this is how we have to teach. We have to remind them, right? In becoming a mother, our daughters should know that they are doing something amazing, something great. It should not be taken lightly. And this behavior, it should be done with a sense of responsibility in getting ready to become a mother and in becoming a mother, in becoming a father, and in getting ready to become a father. You are doing something great, right? So please do it with a sense of responsibility, so that now it is a two-way street. If mothers and fathers should be respected, they have to maintain the dignity of their life. Isn't that so? They have to. So when we maintain the dignity of the mothers and fathers' roles and also the roles of the sons and daughters, we can maintain the dignity of civilization. Otherwise, everything would be just, everything spirals down. When we neglect this, filial piety, gratitude to our mothers and fathers, it is spirals down. It is not good for ourselves, for others, it is not a good thing. So, how this is connected to our spiritual development? Respect to our mothers and fathers. Buddha, according to Buddha, he explained in many ways that success, thriving, positive evolution, it is for the one who is grateful, for those who are grateful. Grateful people thrive and ungrateful people, they perish. Meditation is a way to evolve yourself, to upgrade yourself. If you expect such upliftment, you have to be grateful for those who deserve your gratitude. In this way, it helps in our the development of our spiritual practice. So, I think now time is up. Discussion, yes, please. If you have questions, I'm glad to answer it. Yes, dear Zoom participants, now you can unmute your mics, and if you have some question, you can put forward. Yes, that is the word. Yeah. You are very welcome. Foundation is very important, yeah.
Number?
Those who study Buddhism are twofold. Some people have only an academic approach to Buddhism. Normally, they do not know, they don't appreciate what I said enough. They just try to, read various sutras, and there are very high standard sutras, of course, they are there. But to enliven that Dhamma, said what I said is very important. That is why I mentioned you that legendary monks like Thero Chandananda, they paid attention to these points also, and they are documented in writing books. They stress the value of these things also. And most of the Westerners also pay less attention to this part. It is very clear. So that is why I told you this mindfulness is taken out of the historical context. And when they take Dhamma out of the context, it is not going to be real Buddhism at last. It is somewhat distorted version. So sometimes we see those new Buddhist meditation books published in the West. In the form of their single translations, they landed back in Sri Lanka. Right? I have seen such things. So some people are under the impression that everything comes from the US or the West is good. It does not make sense. Whatever good and beneficial from the West, of course, we can take. And other things we have discarded because it is not the right move. Okay, thank you. So today we accrued a great deal of good karma by taking 5 precepts and taking refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and also listening to this doctrine, noble doctrine. We accrued a great deal of good karma. May all these good karma, may all heavenly beings share these merits. May they fulfill their good wishes and may they attain the supreme bliss of liberation and say sadhana. May all our departed relatives and friends also share these merits. May they fulfill their good wishes and may they too attain the supreme bliss of liberation and say sadhana. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahidika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sasana. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahidika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu desana. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahidika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu mam paranti. Idam me nyati hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam me nyati hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam me nyati hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. By the all the merits we accrued, by the blessings of the people gem, may all your good wishes come true. In a samsaric journey, may you have the association of wise people and genuine friends. Upon development of all enlightening qualities, may you soon be able to realize the unshakable peace of Nibbana. And by all these merits, these all organizers of the servant of the Buddha Association, may you have good physical and mental strength to succeed in all good endeavors in your life. With that kind attitude, I bless upon you. Abhivadana Silissa Niccang Vaddha Pachayino Chattaro Dhamma Vaddanti Ayuvanno Sukham Balam Ayugarogya Sampatti Sagga Sampatti Mevacha Ato Nibbana Sampatti Iminate Samijjatu.